the release of episode Aigis, I wanted to rank each party member based on how good they are. By the end of this video, we'll conclude on what the best team is. If you end up liking the video, make sure to subscribe and join the Discord. Anyways, let's begin. Starting with Aigis, since she has the wild card, that automatically puts her in S tier. She does lose her insane strength and endurance stats, but you can get those later on. Her theurgies are completely busted. Justice is great for early game, and Shadowhound and Armageddon are insane late game. Any theurgy that can crit is automatically broken. Next we have Metis. She specializes in physical skills and also has some magic coverage. She learns great skills like Gakaja, Akasha Arts, and Brave Blade. But arguably, her best skill is Insta-Heal, which cures any status ailment you're inflicted with instantly. It's broken. She also gets an ability called Sister Boost. If Aigis shifts to Metis, her attack increases by 20%, and it fills 1/3 of her theurgy gauge. Metis' theurgy, or Gia mode, is extremely good. She practically can't die when she uses it. Charging Blitz, while decent, is very situational. Her only downside is lack of damage early game. Overall, I'm gonna have to say S tier. Yukari has the highest magic stat in the game. She learns really good healing skills early on, and her damage output is also pretty good. Other than Aigis, she's the only healing you'll get early game. Yukari suffers from one major thing: her healing skills and ailment clears can be easily replaced by items, and if you get healing skills as Aigis, then there's practically no point in using her. Metis also gets wind skills, so you could just use her to hit the weaknesses. Her theurgy Cyclone Arrow does a crap ton of damage because of her magic stat, and Tranquility, while not as good as Power Howling, can be pretty useful in some situations. Overall, she's gonna have to go in C tier. My previous tier list slept on Junpei. He specializes in physical skills and critical hits, while also having a high strength, luck, and endurance stat. His characteristics critical boost is insane. If you equip him with an Eminence Ring with +7 luck, he's gonna start hitting crits like it's nothing. Skills like Deathbound and Vorpal Blade are extremely good AoE options. And he also gets Maraku Kaja, which increases the party's defense. He'll be spending a lot of HP, so he has to be healed often. Junpei also has an atrocious magic stat, which wouldn't matter if his second theurgy, Blaze of Life, wasn't fire-based. Hack and Slash might be a better option if you don't need healing, I'm not sure. Junpei is the man in A tier. Akihiko is more of an all-rounder. He specializes in physical and magic skills, and also has some support options like Matsurunda and Diarahan. He uses electricity, which, in my opinion, is one of the best elements. He can be pretty consistent with inflicting shock on enemies. He has the second highest agility stat in the game, letting him attack or set up before the enemy. Akihiko gets Elec Amp, which boosts his electricity skills by 20%, and when combined with an attack boost in his theurgy Electric Onslaught, it can take out a large portion of an enemy's health, and also has an increased chance to shock them. Akihiko is definitely A tier. Mitsuru is next, and I'm sorry to every Mitsuru fan, but I don't see a use in this character. Despite me putting her in D tier, she's still a good option. She specializes in ice and can freeze enemies. She has the highest magic stat in the game and can deal out massive amounts of damage. But that's pretty much it. She has some status ailment moves, but usually they don't work on stronger enemies. Her characteristic raises the chance of critical when an enemy is afflicted with one, which compared to the others, kinda sucks. It's probably good if you pair it with Junpei, but on its own it doesn't do much. She does get Concentrate, which doubles magic damage, and when combined with her theurgy, Blade of Execution, can do a large portion of health. That said, she's going in D tier. Next up is Gigachad Koromaru. He specializes in curse moves like Egon and Mugun. He has an even spread, but has the highest agility stat in the game, which lets him sneak in turns and set up before an enemy attack. He gains 2 new early game moves, Swift Strike and Fatal End. While lacking in strength, the moves give a better affinity coverage and AoE. He also learns Virus Breath, which is great for dealing with tanky enemies, since Poison is surprisingly broken in this game. His theurgy trait lowers accuracy and evasion of all enemies. This makes insta-kills a lot easier. It also helps with attacking Golden Hands. Unfortunately, his endurance stat is pretty bad, especially with moves like Debilitate, which lowers every stat of the enemy. Moving on to his theurgies, while Hounds of Hades is decent, Power Howling is insanely good. It's essentially a free charge for all allies. If you combine this with Fuka's status buffs, you can instantly take out mini-bosses. It's insane. Koromaru's going in B tier. Finally, we have Ken. He has an even stat spread and uses Bless, Electric, Healing, and Physical skills. He has a pretty diverse moveset and can generally deal out decent damage. He works more as a support character, similar to Yukari, as he learns both barrier moves, which can be pretty useful for covering weaknesses and fighting mini-bosses. Other than his weaknesses to Curse, he doesn't really have much downsides. His Theurgy condition is a little strict. You have to use half your SP in order for it to activate, which can be difficult due to his characteristic. Spirit Refresh, which heals 10 SP each turn, which is insane. Ken's first Theurgy, Divine Retribution, is nothing special. However, his second one fully heals / revives the entire party and puts a physical and magic barrier on everyone. It's extremely good. I think Ken is a way better support than Yukari, so he'll go in B tier. And that's the entire list. Now, what would the optimal team be? Obviously, Aigis and Metis would be the first two, then either Junpei or Akihiko. And finally, either Ken or Koromaru. Both are great supports, one more damage focused than the other. It's really up to personal taste who you want, but this is what I believe is the best team. This was my party in my first playthrough. Let me know in the comments which party you chose. After the feedback from the Persona 5 tier list, I always thought it was interesting to see other people's parties. But anyway, that's all for now. New videos coming soon. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see ya.